Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're really excited to speak to you today. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're really excited to speak with you today. We are going to talk today about how you can leverage gaming influencers to maximize your reach and visibility. And we're really excited to do that today. Today I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales here at Upfluence. My name is Paul Kahn, and we're joined today by Josh Cabrera, the Head of Strategic Partnerships at Kingwin, as well as Nathaniel Kazula, who works with us here at Upfluence. And Josh, do you mind introducing yourself just for a second?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh from Kingwin. I'm basically the guy who manages the influencer marketing and affiliate marketing for Kingwin. I'm an everyday gamer. I play games every day. I've been doing influencer marketing for approximately 7 years, and I have worked with pretty much everyone in the industry, from the biggest people like ESL, PewDiePie, DreamHack, you name it. I There's a good chance that I probably have worked with them already.
Okay. And Nathaniel, can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So my name is Nathaniel. It has now been, I think, 3 years I've been developing and managing partnerships between brands and Twitch influencers, sports teams, and tournaments. And so what we do is my team and I, we help the brands identify the right partners, and we facilitate the campaign by handling all aspects from A to Z. Um, so yeah. Before that, I actually had a pretty nice job, which was to debate, to play video games. I used to be an esports player,
And what game did you play?
League of Legends.
Okay, very fun. So we're really excited to talk to everyone today about gaming and what we can do. So we have a pretty strong agenda today of stuff that we're hoping to get into. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of gaming and how it's changed over the years. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how consumer behavior has changed. Then we're going to pivot and talk about how you go about finding gaming influencers, how you can integrate your brand with what they are trying to put out to their communities, what types of partnership options are out there, and what kinds of brands can benefit from gaming influencers. And spoiler alert, it's more brands than you might think. And the last thing is, what are your best practices for key streaming channels? Uh, at the end, we're going to give some time for a question and answer. So please put your questions in the chat, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. So thank you all for being here today. So brief introduction to who we are here at Uplands. We work to develop smarter technology to decode influencer marketing. What that means is we've been in this space since 2013. We have offices all over the world in New York, Los Angeles, Paris, Lyon, and Switzerland. And we are a global leader in influencer marketing. And Josh, do you mind giving a brief introduction to Kingwin?
Sure. So Kingwin is basically a gaming marketplace. We are well known for having a lot of games on our website. We were established from 2012 with a lot of basically software products on our website. Approximately, we currently have around 50,000 products, mostly games, but we also have prepaid cards and software.
Okay. And you also are one of the first sponsors, right, of some of the tournaments that maybe Nathaniel used to participate in. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. So Kingwin was one of those first brands that actually really supported the community, the gaming community. So it's not just esports, but also streamers on Twitch, YouTubers, let's say, content creators on YouTube. So we were one of those people who pioneered, actually, modesty aside, but we kind of pioneered on how we can work with these influencers. And at the same time, we're doing this continuously. Actually, here in Poland, we have our own esports performance centers, for example, which is usually rented out by esports organizations and teams before they prepare for events. Especially that one of the biggest gaming events of the year usually happens in Poland, which is the IEM Katowice. Um, and also, we have those esports lounges where the community can interact more with the teams as well, bring the community together. Um, and till to this day, we are still partnering with some of them and making sure that we don't lose that grassroots touch with the gaming community.
Okay. That's really great, and we're really so excited to have you with us today, Josh. Okay, I always like to put things into context. So, where did this all begin? And I want to start with, obviously, people who have been playing games since people were playing chess and checkers and Go and all of those games in the past. But let's talk about when the home consumer market for gaming really took off. So we have some pictures here. First, you see Pong. Which was a huge deal when it first came out. It was the first computer game, right? Obviously, then we moved into arcade games and things like that. We had things like the NES, Super NES. Over here, you see the Nintendo 64, the first Xbox. Then we had Gaming Move Mobile. So iPhones and smartphones really took gaming to the mobile community as well. And now we have people, really playing games at a high level, professional level. They're doing it on their own rigs that have their own routers, their own computers, their own screens. It's very specialized. And this VR just got put in. I think you might see that I have a VR hookup here as well. So that's definitely in the next generation. And we had people I know sending out ridiculous ways to try to get themselves PS5s this Christmas. So you have a picture of that there as well, right? So gaming has evolved over time. So quick question, Josh, what was the first console that you had?
My first console would probably be the Nintendo 64. So my mom brought it out of work one day, and the first game I played was Mario Brothers 2, I believe, and Duck Hunt. I even had those retro guns that you can actually point and shoot on your TV screen. Back then, it was revolutionary, to be honest. I didn't know how it worked. It was like magic for me when I was a kid. So yeah, it was Nintendo 64.
And Nathaniel, what was your first console?
Good question. I think I'm gonna go and say Game Boy Color. I'm not too sure, but I think I used to play The Simpsons back then, like the first game on Game Boy Color.
Hi everyone.
Hey Adam.
Real quick, sorry we had some issues in the chat. It's really tough to hear Nathaniel and Josh for everyone who's attending. So I just wanted to pop in, talk to you guys, and see if we can get that fixed up. Because everyone wants to hear what you want to have to say, but they're having some trouble. And this was the best way to let you guys know.
All right, just hold on 1 second. Let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, I increased my volume on my computer just if it helps. So, am I audible better?
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
All right, I think that should do it. Thanks. Yeah, that should be a little more volume there.
Yep.
Okay.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's way better. So
okay. All right.
we'll get back in there. Okay. All right. So Game Boy Color, and for me, I actually had the Atari, but that was more my older brothers. The real first gaming console that I loved was the NES. So I played the original Super Mario Brothers, the Mike Tyson's Punch Out, which was a big revelation at the time. But my favorite game was probably still The Legend of Zelda. So we got to play that. Okay. All right. And hopefully everyone can hear us a little bit better now. Thank you, Adam, for popping in to give us the note. Okay. So let's talk about how consumer behavior has changed as we've gone through things. 2020 changed everything, but the real way to think about 2020 is it was more of an accelerant. We had all of these long-term trends that got just this massive push from the global pandemic, from the lockdown. So we had everyone's a gamer now. 82% of global consumers played and watched video game content during the height of the pandemic. That's an insane number. Right when it first happened, people were on Twitch. Hours and hours and hours of people watching Twitch. People are looking for new ways to feel connected, especially during this time where, you can't just run out to go grab a drink with a friend or go to a movie or something like that. So this is helping with that. And we saw 89% increase in hours of watching on Twitch compared to 2019. That was according to The Verge. Now, Nathaniel, I know you put together some more specific numbers on platform by platform. So can you talk to us about how this is affecting all the different platforms?
Right. On top of the figures that you just mentioned, we have seen significant increase in all live streaming usage during the pandemic. So here we have the three leading live streaming platforms in the gaming industry. What's interesting is that all of them are owned and operated by giants. So first of all, we have Twitch, which is owned by Amazon. Then we have Facebook Gaming, and then finally YouTube, which is owned by Google. A great thing that actually happened during the pandemic is that we had some campaigns start before the start of the pandemic and lasted through the year. And both our clients and us were actually happily surprised by the increase in viewership numbers and engagement. Most of the people were home, so that means more time for entertainment, more time for playing video games, and more time for just watching people play video games.
Yeah, and I think it's actually really important what Nathaniel was talking about. We have these giant players are investing in this space, right? So that's something that all brands, all agencies should really be looking into. Follow the smart money, right? Amazon, Facebook, and Google, they're doing it for a reason. So Josh, Nathaniel was talking about how he had certain campaigns and we could see it, but you actually brought some numbers to that as well from Kinguin's campaigns. Can you talk a little bit about what you all were seeing in terms of the difference pre and post lockdown?
Definitely. So the funny thing is during this period, normally when there's no pandemic, when there's no lockdown, the movement of customers, sessions, and revenue doesn't really move that much, because usually this is more so the downtrend of the gaming industry, because Q4 is mostly the big hype, right, where we make most of the money, basically. But since the pandemic, we saw a huge growth in customers, in sessions, up to 55% of them, which is unheard of before, and that also affects revenue, which is approximately 70%. And this just shows the validation of what actually happened during the pandemic, because people are now at homes, they can't really go anywhere, they can't really socialize physically, so they look for entertainment online to pass the time. And it does affect at least the digital side of things and the digital business side of things. So I would say that this is a highly unusual factor that benefited pretty much everyone in the digital industry across the board.
Yeah, and especially the e-commerce side, right?
Yes,
anyone who's
e-commerce side,
they, e-commerce, as Josh was talking about, Q4 is basically where e-commerce makes its money, and Q1 through 3 is where they tread water, Well, what we saw with a lot of our e-commerce clients, and Kingwin's a great example. You're in a situation where you have basically Christmas every quarter in 2020 for the e-commerce world because people aren't, there are some winners obviously when retail has the struggles that they obviously had during the lockdown. People still need products, they still need things, and what we saw was a massive change in consumer behavior toward e-commerce and away from brick and mortar. So that's really interesting. Okay, so the smart people are working with gamers. They're building the platforms for the gamers. Let's talk about where we go to find really good gaming influencers. So, Nathaniel, can we talk about, why don't you tell us a little bit about Twitch, since you know quite a bit about Twitch?
Right. So yeah, here is a quick breakdown of the key platforms in the gaming space as of today. Although all of them are similar in a way that they all provide live gaming content, they have a live chat for viewers to interact directly with the influencers. There are some differences between them. So as I mentioned, we have Twitch, which is, as of today, the leading live streaming platform with over 10 million content creators channels and 2.1 million average CCV. So average CCV is basically, on average, how many concurrent viewership the website reaches. So that means that at any given moment, we have 2.1 million person connected and watching live content on Twitch, which is huge. Then we have YouTube Gaming, which has a huge VOD consumption. And finally, I think it's great to mention them, Facebook Gaming, which is pretty big in certain Asian countries. We have run some campaigns recently for US clients wanting to reach out to an Indonesian audience, for example. So the team and I, we were looking for content creators on Twitch, but couldn't find any in that space. So we reached out to Facebook content creators that had a lot of really interesting audience there.
And Josh, you wanted to talk about one other channel which is really coming on fast, and that gamers know a lot about, which is Discord. Can you tell us a little bit about Discord and why that's just a huge piece of this puzzle?
Discord basically became, I would say, the new social media of gamers in general, because it transformed from just a chatting platform to a complete platform for every social life a gamer would like to have. So it has chat at its core. You can also do video calls. You can also do live streaming of your gameplay or on your from content of your PC within Discord. It's one of those new innovative platforms that you can actually get a lot of information from, because you're rest assured a lot of the people that are, I would say, game literate are into Discord. I've seen developers use Discord as a tool to also help them with their development of the game, because they get direct feedback from the community as they do the tests, either on alpha or on beta, sometimes alpha even. Discord is a perfect tool to communicate with the community.
And just a fun fact, our development team here at Upfluence uses Discord for all of their meetings. We actually ran our entire Christmas party on Discord this year. So it is a tool that can be used to gather people together in various ways and do stuff. So actually the screenshot that you see over here is of a little bit about, I think, us setting up trivia. People are speaking English, they're speaking French, there are different rooms in different worlds, and that works well.
Actually, on top of that, we also have a lot of content creators and influencers using that tool to directly communicate with their audience for a more one-on-one chat or insights on everything.
And, I think this is obvious for people who have worked with gamers before, but this is like a third dimension almost to influencer marketing, right? Because what people do normally in influencer marketing is very much on Instagram. Yes, we have video content on YouTube for certain things, but there is back and forth, but it's not as immediate, right? So it's responding to comments. But if somebody's on Twitch and I'm watching them, I can comment to them and they will talk about me in that moment. So the connection between the creator and the audience is this deep connection where people actually like know their followers in a deeper way and feel that responsibility in a deeper way. And all of these tools have that depth of relationship, and that's another key ingredient to why gaming influencers can be so powerful. All right, well, that's one of the reasons why gaming influencers, but I sort of stepped on that a little bit, but I still think it's important. So why should we be looking at gaming influencers? Well, Nathaniel, why don't you talk about this a little bit? And I apologize for stepping on it a bit, but
no worries, no worries. So yeah, gaming platforms versus traditional ones. In my opinion, the main difference between, let's say, Instagram and Twitch is the, just like you said, live aspect, right? On Instagram, most of the time, a typical campaign consists of one post and one story, and that's it. Most of the time, the campaign is done. Whereas on these live streaming platforms, however, the influencer will promote on a regular basis the brand, the products, the services, and just like you said, always reply to the audience when they ask about it, when they ask, like, do you like the product? What do you think about it? Have you used it before? This provides a unique way of interacting with the audience that leads to innovating ways, to integrate your brand. So yeah, both the chat and the real-time audience bring infinite possibilities for brand partnerships. Finally, I would say that the gaming community is probably the most supportive audience out there. They are here when they need to support their influencer, and they are here when they need to support the brand that is sponsoring or partnering up with them.
And when you talk about supportive audiences, I mean, these people will say, if an influencer comes out with a new hoodie, they're the first people going to buy it. If they are raising money for a good cause, which we also saw quite a bit this year around the coronavirus, around hunger, even around politics, because now everyone's talking about everything, right? The audiences are getting involved, and they want to help, and they have the money to spend, which is good.
There is a certain donation culture in the gaming community that's it's basically one of the biggest ways for the influencers to earn money, right? So they earn money through ads, they earn money through donations. That's the two main things. And then you have brand partnerships. And yeah, on a daily basis, certain streamers can receive up to thousands or tens of thousands of dollars of donations just because the viewers like them and want them to succeed.
Right. And that's where a brand can find those influencers with those supportive audiences who then say, hey, help me over here. But of course you need to make sure that the product is in line with what the influencer's brand is themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting what you're mentioning, because I would say this is the only social media where influencers can actually earn money without getting paid by brands. So the brands and the services that they provide should provide the content creators and the influencers with some additional things for him to be successful in what he does, so that he can accept the partnerships and promote it the right way to the audience.
And to add to that supportive audience, I've seen influencers where if they don't have the budget to do some extra promotion like a giveaway competition, it's actually the audiences themselves who donates the prizes for such actions. And we're not talking about a measly one AAA game. I've seen a community donated $600 worth of content to really push and help the influencer that they're following to grow bigger and gather more community around them. So the audience in the gaming industry is actually a very loyal customer base, especially when they feel that they're connected to the content that they're consuming.
Okay. And, talking about that, right? You're investing in that audience. So, Josh, this is some of the feedback that Kinguin gets on some of their campaigns. Is that correct?
Yes. So with the gaming industry and gaming influencers in general, the vast majority of them are actually young gamers below 18. And for brands like us, it's important that we constantly invest in the next generation of buying customers. It's important that growing up at their early age, it's good to have that very nice or positive experience with your brand that will come back tenfold later on. I remember when I was one of the biggest gaming events of the year, which was IEM in Poland. I saw Gillette having a big booth in IEM, and I asked them, "So what changed with Gillette? Why are you guys here at a gaming event?" And it's for the exact reason. They are also investing to the next generation of buying customer. So when they get older and they actually start growing beard, they will remember Gillette, for example, as their brand choice. And also, whenever you interact with these types of people, you actually get a bunch of, I would say, small inspirations, as shown on some of the screenshots that we've shown here, that reinforces that the things that you do is something that is working or that has a potential to give back tenfold later on. It's reinforcing that positive and good experience with your brand that they could actually remember when they have the money to spend.
Well, and I think it's really important, and we're going to talk about this more later, but Gillette is not a tech company. Gillette is not a gaming company. Gillette is a home consumer brand, right? And one of the myths that we want to talk about today is that gaming influencers are only for gaming companies. That's not the case. And the really smart companies are investing now. And Gillette obviously knows what it's doing in terms of where it's putting its money. And, we're talking about this in terms of the audience, and it's a diverse audience. Yes, it skews younger. But a couple of interesting things. The majority of gamers are in the younger demographic, but there are older gamers. A majority of gamers are male, but there are plenty of women who are gamers as well. And a lot of this comes from the idea of when you're thinking about how you target, gaming is really interesting because you might want to target by game. So, Josh, I think you and I were talking about it. Like, if I wanted to hit a largely female audience, are there any games that are out there that you might recommend for a brand or an agency to look at?
Of course. So one of the most prominent brands and respectable brands or games out there is Candy Crush. Even my mom plays Candy Crush, believe it or not. And I'm so surprised that when I did a bit of research into Candy Crush, the vast core demographic of the game are actually females that are above 34 years old and above 34 years old, which is kind of an anomaly in the normal gaming scene. Usually it's young, it's male, and here's the game, one of the most profitable games out there, that are actually women running the revenue of the game. And also one of the gaming companies out there, which I believe also Nathaniel will agree on, is World of Tanks, where they're at the opposite spectrum. A lot of old gamers there, dads, military active personnel playing the game, has a lot of buying power.
Yeah, and on the contrary, I would say that if you want to, let's say, reach out to a younger audience, that happened in one of our clients. Some of them wanted to target older audiences. Some of them wanted to target younger audiences. Like a great example is Fortnite. Another great example is Minecraft, that provides gaming content for a really young generation. On the other hand, you have games such as Counter-Strike Go, Rainbow Six, that aim to attract older audiences and more mature audiences.
And so can you do the Carlton, Nathaniel, on Fortnite? Can you do the dance? I'm just joking. That's you want to get up and do that. Okay. And by the way, but I do want to talk about that. There is this point where all of these things are breaking through. All of them are, this isn't, if you go back 10, 15 years to people who are playing massive multiplayer games, it's a different audience than it is now. So what was once the area for hardcore gamers, everybody now is what a hardcore gamer was 15 years ago, in terms of the amount of time, energy that they're putting into their gaming. So it's really interesting, and that audience is growing faster than you might imagine.
And you have, like huge brands such as Sephora, other brands, makeup brands that are currently investing in gaming and esports that initially should have nothing to do with that, right? But you still have some niche agencies to look for in that space.
Okay, and this is what we're talking about now, right? So there are advantages for every brand that's in there, because this is a new and mostly untapped market for influencer marketing, right? And there's high engagement and brand loyalty, like we spoke about. You're also able to reach that niche audience. And then, Nathaniel, can we talk a little bit about some of the live chats and integrations that are available for some of these campaigns as you're doing it?
So, yeah, just like you said, there is a certain preconception as of today that you have to sell gaming content, products, services to use gaming influencers. While it is true to some extent, I believe, and everyone believes today, that this audience is still relevant to every brand that wants to target millennials, right? These platforms, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Gaming, remain the most packed millennial audience out there, and they are available for every brand to, to reach out to. Just like we said, I think earlier, these are actually the most loyal and engaged audience today. And again, they are always happy and supportive when a new brand comes into place to support their favorite influencer. And yet, to touch a point on the live aspect of things, the live chat and the live interaction provides great content and brings new way and unique activations. Some things we have done on Twitch that we couldn't imagine doing on Instagram or even YouTube.
I've seen some things where if somebody purchases something, it automatically shows on the Twitch stream, right? So they get that automatic feedback, and then when it works really well, somebody purchases something, they get acknowledged through an integration, and then the creator comes on and was like, "Hey, good to," and you have that whole sort of story getting told.
And to be honest, the best integrations you can have on Twitch or YouTube or to Facebook Gaming is when you kind of gamify, I don't know if that's a word in English, gamify the experience, right? Mm-hmm. You link your product or your service to the game. We worked with a pretty huge non-alcoholic beverage brand, I think it was last year. And so what we did was basically, from time to time during the gaming sessions, we asked the content creators and influencers to take breaks to talk about our product, to drink the product, to share their favorite memories or flavors of the drink we provided them with. And, if you associate your product and service to the overall gaming experience, the chat, which means the audience is going to be happy.
Okay. So, as we keep going, we're talking about, okay, so now you understand why gamers can be helpful, what some of your options are, but what type of partnerships should you be looking for, and what are the best practices? So what we're going to do here is we're going to watch an unboxing video, and hopefully we can all hear it. So let's see.
Oh, yeah, let's bring it over here. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. That's right, folks. This bad boy of a PC can be yours while supporting the Twitchiest community. Exclamation mark Micro Center. We're going to be working with them, folks, for another couple of months. So you've got time. If you want to gather it all up to get yourself a baller new PC, get that GeForce 2070 Super, get yourself that sweet i7 10700 series, baby. And I'm going to be plugging in this bad boy later today. And it's going to be set up as our VR PC. So if you type an exclamation mark VR PC, it will also bring up all of its stats and stuff if you want. And of course, you can check it out in the panels down below as well. Very excited. Very excited for this beautiful PC. Also very excited that I didn't drop it
in Break It On Stream. Typically, sponsors don't approve when you break their stuff on accident or on purpose.
Okay. So
Yeah, that's basically a typical kind of product placement we are having with a brand. Right here, I think we can see it on the video that on the right you have the chat directly interacting with the influencer. Some of them are actually asking what's inside the configuration. Some of them are talking about, hey, I love Micro Center, I go there on a daily basis. And so the creator was asked to take a break during a gaming session, not at the beginning, not at the end, right at the peak of his viewership, right, to attract most of his viewers looking at the product placement. The influencer talks about the brand, the product, responds to comments in the chat. Yeah, just a fun way of interacting and promoting the product.
Well, and also he was funny, right? So
Right.
you can get a sense of why his audience likes him. He did everything. You know, he showed the product. He talked about the what the viewers needed to do to get the product. But he was also funny in the way he did it, and it didn't feel forced. It felt fun. So
And
even though
that's-
it's a break, his followers would be laughing along with him, as opposed to being like, "Oh, this is what is this?" Right?
And that's what's interesting with Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook gaming is that as of today, I think we have kind of two types of influencers, right, Josh? I would say one is, like the hardcore gamers. They are good at gaming. They play video games, and people watch them because they are good. Then you have the funny, entertaining kind of content creators and influencers that are being watched because they are funny and they are having a good time and sharing nice experiences with their audiences. And yeah.
They have personality,
right,
basically.
Right.
They have really nice personality.
And
there's someone that you would want to spend some time with, right?
And to give money to. That's why most of them donate to him. And yeah, to get back to the typical kind of brand activation we have, most of the time on Twitch, I think we can see it on the chat, maybe not, but we'll send a recurring chat bot. So we send a recurring text message in the chat with a sponsored link directly to the client's product website. We have in the description a clickable banner, which leads to, again, a tracked link. And finally, most of the time, we'll have an animated overlay to kind of like bring most viewers towards the product placement and to promote the brand.
Okay. So let's keep going. So here's another one. I think this is a let's watch this video and we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And I think we're just going to watch a piece of this, right?
Tá na hora de comprar. Zum, 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 zum. Vou fazer carinho na carteira. Cantando com essa voz.
So this is a cartoon that was created, right, by Streamer for You?
Yeah,
oh.
Yeah.
Por alguma. Compra, vai ganhando vantagens. Barato. Pra chuchu, chuá. Bora pro vídeo. Tá todo.
Okay. So that was the intro, but what's really important is this was done by the content creator for you. Is that correct?
Exactly. So this is a YouTuber called Marginal, and we worked with him around Q4 of last year. And one of the things that usually works is when you let the content creator lead the creative side of the content during the integration of the brand. Why? Because your main purpose there is to connect to the community. And because they know their stuff and they have a significant following already, it's safe to assume that they know what actually resonates to their community. And because you let them lead the creative side of the content, it just makes your brand integration more organic. And this is something that all of us wants to aim for, an organic content from the influencer that can resonate better to the community. And lastly, just circling back to what Nathaniel showed, the product experience. when you let the content creator have creative reign over how they want to show the product, how they want to talk about the product, then you will get more engagements out of that, because the community will see that it's not forced at all whenever they talk about the brand, when they talk about the product, the giveaway, the promotion activity that they're doing. So just as a general practice, we're very flexible. Kingwin is very flexible with regards to the creative side. There's like very minute details that we just want to be consistent of. Like, for example, logo. Please use the same logo as seen on our website. But that's about it. I think we can move on, Paul, to the next slide as well, which is getting the most out of the content. So obviously, because you are promoting your brand with influencers on Twitch, on YouTube, on other social medias, it's very important to familiarize yourself where you could put your hashtags, your links, especially in YouTube. YouTube lately has more ways to add links to the content, not just on the description, but you could also add it on a pinned comment down below, especially if the YouTube video has thousands and thousands of comments, and community posts. It's a relatively new way of working with an influencer through YouTube. It basically functions similar to a post on Instagram, on Twitter, or on Facebook, and it's always engaging for the community as well. And if we move to the next slide, Paul, I would say this is one of the most important things that you can do on VODs, on VODs, video on demand. Could you play it, Paul, just
Sure,
to
of
show
course.
this example here?
Chicos, interrumpimos esta intro para comentaros una super noticia. Y es que me hace muchísima ilusión comentaros que por primera vez tenemos un patrocinador en el canal. Y se trata de nada más y nada menos que de Kingwin, que es como Trollino pero en pingüino, ¿vale? Kingwin es la mejor tienda online que existe para comprar juegos y aplicaciones. ¿Y por qué digo esto? Pues principalmente por los precios. Porque en Kingwin vas a encontrar todos tus juegos súper baratos. Os dejo un link en la descripción en el cual podéis ver todos los juegos que suelo traeros yo al canal. Y como podéis ver, hay descuentos absurdos como del 90%. Pero es que además, por si el precio no fuera lo suficientemente bajo, si utilizas el código MyCrack os harán un 8% de descuento extra. Es por eso que tanto yo como todos mis amigos nos hemos comprado el Cyberpunk aquí. Que pronto, por cierto, espero traerlo al canal, que me lo habéis pedido. Así que bueno, chicos, recordad, tenéis el link en la descripción, pasaros por ahí a ver si encontráis algo que os gusta y aprovechar que estamos haciendo un sorteo de 10 cuentas premium de Minecraft para todos vosotros. En fin, código MyCrack en la tienda de Kingwin, que es como Trollino, pero en pingüino.
There
So-
you go. So that video was made by a very big YouTuber called MyCrack. He does around 450 million views per month on his YouTube channel.
So not that
and
many.
Not that many. Not that many. And as you can see, we even let him troll our brand a bit, in some parts of the video, and that's part of that creative control that we let them. But basically, with that example, it's a video pre-roll or a post-roll for some of you. It's a quick brand integration that has the most premium spot on a YouTube content, right? And this is the place where you could really either put a premium, maybe visibility, but also a soundbite. So a pre-roll doesn't need to be something very visible, but if the content creator is consistent enough to actually mention the name of your product or your brand on the first 60 seconds or 30 seconds of the video, then that goes a long way. And usually, when you work with YouTubers, this is the let's say the deliverable that actually makes or breaks a partnership with regards to YouTube. So as long as you do it right, you'll get immediate returns in days, to be honest, not just weeks, when done properly.
Right. And so there's a lot of really good advice here. The first part, which I think is extremely important, is anyone who's working with an influencer, you're picking them to work with you because of their creativity, because of what they're doing. Don't get in their way too much, right? If there's something really important, sure, make that clear. But you want to leverage their creativity. Also, make sure that you're putting in all of your tracking and all of your links in the ways that you need so that you can understand whether you're being successful or not. And then there are different types of ways that you can get people to talk about your brand, whether that's a break on Twitch, whether that's a pre-roll or a post-roll on YouTube. So make sure you're doing the types of work that makes the most sense for your brand or for your client's brand. That's really helpful, and I think it's really powerful. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. No, it's really great. One thing that can also help you is the Upfluence Chrome plugin. So we want to make sure that everyone has a link to take a look at that as you need it. This can help you have a decent understanding of demographics, location, things like that. We've spoken a lot about different events in different parts of the world, so location information can be really beneficial. And using our Chrome plugin, you can get a taste of some of the data that's available for you at Upfluence. So we wanted to leave some time for question and answer. And we do have a couple of questions from the audience. So I want to read some of those, and then we'll see what people have to say. So we had Ibrahim Samal. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Ibrahim. Are there different ways to make collabs happen on Twitch, like putting logos? Who wants to take that one first?
Sure, I can go for it.
Go for it.
So yeah, definitely different ways. On Twitch, most of the time we are gonna look at longer-term partnerships, right? Weekly, monthly, or even 2 months partnerships are what we often see on the platform. And during these times, the typical campaign includes overlay and underlay banner. The underlay banner is the one in the description, which is linked to a hopefully tracked link on your site that will bring most of the engagement and clicks to your website. Secondly, you'll have the chatbot. As I said earlier, I think a recurring chatbot that sends promotional messages in the chat is a great way to attract the audience to your website. And finally, a logo overlay to simply bring viewership to the partnership.
Okay. And Josh, do you have any other anything that you want to add to what Nathaniel was talking about in terms of Twitch partnerships specifically?
I would say beyond the logos that Nathaniel has said, one of the things that is, I would say, underrated but has a lot of impact is simply when the content creator or the streamer for Twitch actually talks about the brand. There has been some cases where we put our logos on a stream, but because the content creator doesn't talk about it, the community ignores it, to be honest. So it's very important that there's the live interaction as well of the content creator to the logos that are visible on the stream.
And what we do most of the time when we run partnerships with content creators and streamers on Twitch, for example, is that when we set up contracts, we ask them to, once a week, twice a week, to give shout outs, to include unboxing, to unpack a product we would send them. I'm going to be honest, the most important on Twitch is engagement. It's what we've seen in the past. As long as you engage your audience in the brand partnerships, they're going to love it. They're going to appreciate the partnership. They're going to want more, actually. Some of the partnerships we did, we could see the chat responding so well. Some of them saying, they wanted more unboxing, more fun breaks, sponsored breaks. And that's what we are aiming to do.
Okay. We have another Twitch-related question. And it's a big question. So how do you calculate the cost of an influencer on Twitch? I'm going to start off by saying, huge question, matters greatly toward obviously the success of the campaign, and it depends on a lot. But who wants to go first on that one?
I can go first,
okay.
Unless you want, Josh.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Okay.
You can go first.
So yeah, just like you said, Paul, depends on a lot of things. does the influencer like your product? Is it too much of a pain for him to integrate your brand to his stream? Is his audience going to like it? So the two metrics we are looking at when we look for great content creators and influencers is average concurrent viewership. So on average, how many viewers are tuned in and watching him? So it can go from 10 to I think the biggest one we've seen recently was 2.1 million, right? It was on YouTube, like a Spanish content creator that was just making his audience discover a new Fortnite skin, reached 2.1 million viewers at one point. That's just insane. And so what we do is basically we calculate how much we would pay him for one concurrent viewer, right? So it can go from 0.5 to 1.5, depending on if they don't really appreciate your product. If they love it, obviously it's going to be lower. If they don't, higher. But yeah, that's how we estimate the cost, average concurrent viewerships.
Yeah. So concurrent viewership matters. Josh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. In addition to that, going beyond concurrent views, it is a bit complex with regards to finding the valuation of a Twitch streamer. Nathaniel said, I would say the most obvious one, right? Because you could actually cross-reference it to other mediums as well. But with streams, you also need to consider other metrics that you usually won't really pay attention to in other mediums. So a perfect example for streamers is the hours watched, which is equally important as concurrent views. So I would suggest that you need to dig deeper into what are the metrics connected to that concurrent view to really justify the valuation. Because you don't want to end up in a scenario where, yes, the guy or a girl has 2,000 concurrent views, right? But the hours watched is, let's say, 3,000 hours watched. That is a bad example, basically, because it's supposed to be much higher than that. This is where you can separate organic views from bots, especially that's something that you need to be aware of, that some content creators actually have bots as viewers as well.
And another thing that's also interesting to, I think about is that some content creators and influencers throughout the months, they keep the same audience, right? So it's the same guy, the same 10 guy, 100 guys who just tune in and watch him. You have that. You also have influencers that actually bring new and different unique views each time they stream. So the question is, do you want to touch the same audience on a weekly basis throughout the months, or do you want to touch all kinds of audience just once to promote your product?
One other thing that I think matters is there are different ways to actually do compensation as well. So what we're talking about is guessing at the value ahead of time. Not guessing, obviously doing our research, looking into metrics and coming up with the best number. But there's always another idea that's out there, which is doing an affiliation campaign with the streamers, where you tell them, great, whatever you help me sell, I'm going to give you a commission on. And that is a great way for a lot of brands to get involved. If I know we're saying that it's not only tech brands that can do this, but I'm going to use a computer as an example. We saw the campaign that we did for Micro Center. So selling that computer, that's probably a $2,000 computer. Think about, or $3,000, whatever the number is. But think about what the cost per acquisition is. Maybe if you give the influencer 5% for every computer they sell, they're going to start to see that add up pretty quickly. And that's the kind of thing that you might want to be considering as well, especially if you have higher value items, right? Affiliation doesn't work quite as well for a $5 item, but it can. But for higher value items, gamers can do that. I really like this question from Angelina D'Souza. She asked, how do you recommend nonprofits incorporate gaming influencers into their marketing strategy? So for those of you who don't know, I actually have a history. I used to run a nonprofit, so this is near and dear to my heart. And I'll just start with one thing. Anytime a nonprofit wants to work with an influencer, the only thing you need to find out is that they are a supporter of your mission, right? If you find that and you go up to them and you say, hey, can you help us? It's a great thing for influencers to do. It helps round them out. It makes them it makes them look good to their followers. And the same way that everybody feels good when they volunteer their time, volunteer their energy, volunteer their money, you can really get gamers to work on that. So the real key is the one thing you don't have in your possession when you are a nonprofit is lots of money to spend on gamers. I mean, obviously there are some, but you can talk to gamers. They're interested in doing this. As a, for instance, we just did a large nonprofit campaign for UNICEF around World Health. We've been doing a lot of campaigns around coronavirus things with lots of different people, and gamers would love to help out with that. Everybody wants to help in this world. Nathaniel or Josh, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, on Twitch, just like I said, and we talked about earlier, is that the donation culture is huge, right? So depending on your goal, do you want to bring and to raise awareness? Do you want to raise money? Both are totally feasible. I think it was like last year or 2 years ago, we had the WWF that actually gamified the experience. They wanted to raise awareness towards, I think the goal was to not cut trees, right? So they hired a bunch of Fortnite content creators and influencers, and the goal was for them to win and to play the game without cutting any trees. Another example is that I think it was last year. You have a lot of charities and non-profit organizations raising tons and tons of money on Twitch, and a great way to get involved.
Yeah, and in addition to that, you could always use the bandwagon effect with regards to getting influencers involved, especially on the level of the upper echelon of influencers. They're always operating on a bandwagon effect. So once you are able to secure one, it's easier to approach other people, and you can name drop already some of the people that you already worked with. It's a very powerful tool. We've done something similar in the past. It was a long time ago, but we also made a big event called and collaborated with Save the Children, basically. And because we had this one guy who was a big face of gaming 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, it was very easy for us to get more collaborations from influencers. And surprisingly, some of them would even do it for free. We've had content creators either contribute through making a content around it, or an idea that we did was we had those limited edition merchandise or products. So let's say a headset that has the signature, and you can put it up for auction. And actually, it was very successful during that period in time. So that's something that you could also replicate.
I think that's a great tip for non-profit organizations or even any kinds of companies that want to run a large-scale influencer marketing campaign. Get one so that you can tell the other influencers that you have this one that trusts you and is on board with that campaign to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, and I also love the idea of maybe a signed piece of merch that that you auction off. There's all kinds of really cool things that can be done. We're running a little bit low on time, so I apologize. We might not get to all of the questions. There are a lot of good questions here, but I'll ask one more from Kevin Labat. What is the best way to find gaming influencers, contact them, and start a campaign? And Josh, I'll let you start with that one.
When or
where?
Where?
No, what is the best way to find?
What is the best way?
Yeah.
I would say all of the ways, to be honest with you, because it depends on the scale of the content creator, the influencer, right? But I always have I operate in this philosophy that I try everything all at once and see what sticks, right? So, of course, there's the usual emails, right? I would say unconventional way is also through their chat or DM DM on Twitch if you're talking to YouTubers, right? I've also had responses over on social media, especially on Twitter, for example, and Discord, by the way. So usually with Twitter, they would respond quite fast. On Discord, they have moderators that can actually help you direct you to the influencer themselves or their managers, right? So I would say try everything, but if traditional emails doesn't work, try going to their Discord or their Twitter, as they really read those messages there, or an admin would redirect you to them.
Okay. All right. So it is, we're sort of at the end of the hour. So I do want to just bring up a couple more things before we go, and we'll try to get back to everybody in the chat before the end of the night or before the end of the day. So this is from one of our clients. He said something really nice about us. So anyone who's using a different platform than Upfluence doesn't understand influencer marketing. And Josh, I want to thank you for being here with Kinguin. And you brought up a stat that I liked from when you're working with us in terms of helping your process. Is that correct?
Yeah. We have this internal joke that if a growth is 30-degree angle and below, it's like, okay, normal. But when we started to work with Upfluence, our growth rate is at a 70%, 70-degree angle. So I would say we call it also, of course, it's the partners, but also the tools that we work with to get to those partners. So we can safely call it the Upfluence factor, let's say, whenever we look at our data.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming today, and especially I want to thank Josh for being here from Kinguin, as well as Nathaniel. What we're going to do is we'll put a link in the chat. If anybody wants to talk to us about what we do here at Upfluence, or maybe schedule some time with Nathaniel to talk about doing a managed campaign with gamers, we'd love to speak with you. And I want to thank you all for being here today. And I hope you got an opportunity to learn a little bit more about gaming. Have a good day.
Right.